Hey, I've got something very interesting to show you as I'm building this. So I'm building an autonomous agent on behalf of a client, but this is going to be part of nocodo where, so this particular client, we are building a medical reports app where a user can submit their medical report. In this case, this is an example report I have is actually my personal report. And basically what we're trying to figure out is that how to build an agent where some of these, of course, depending on which country, which context. Right now we are focused on India, but also within India, different labs have different ways to structure reports. So PDF to text is fairly solved, fairly easy to do. There are tons of tools. We are looking at using Tesseract. Tesseract is a really nice library, and this is the documentation of Tesseract. So I was just going through it, and then you will see that they have lots of options to basically get text out of a PDF. And we are running this. I'm going to show you an example of this particular page that I'm showing here when I've run this through Tesseract. So the first step is, by the way, from PDF to image conversion. But the basic concept here is that Tesseract works on images, and then we just run some PDF to image tool. And there are tons of these libraries, which I'm not going to go into in this video. And then per image, per page. So this particular report that I have, which is my own report, it has, let's look at it. It has this many pages. So 48 pages from this particular one report that I had. This is one blood work report. And I'm guessing a lot of those pages are not really useful. But again, this is going to be more logistics. And we have to figure out like, hey, this particular reporting lab has a lot of extra information, metadata, or maybe they're, more marketing material, etc., which we don't really need to figure out. But we'll come to that later. Right now, what I want to focus on, and very specific thing that I want to show, is how to build this as an agent. What is the difference really versus just the normal software? So coming back to Tesseract, we are using Tesseract. Tesseract is this fantastic open source library to take PDF and then take text out of it, like get text out of it. And you will see that even with these examples, like this is an example where there is a content page, and it's very similar to how you can see this particular page of data. Of course, this tabular data is a little richer than this contents page, but the concept is more or less the same, is that you will want to preserve the spaces. So Tesseract has this option where you can preserve the spaces, and then you get this nice version. Or if you preserve the spaces, like there are multiple like options that you can pass to the command, and you'll get something like this, which is even nicer, right? So you have this becoming like this with all the spaces in between. That helps it understand, that helps our system understand. But even this would actually do, because we can simply take the the word. We know that we are differentiating between the name of the test, the actual value, the reference number, and probably sometimes the unit is also given. So we know more or less like what are the columns. So this is the particular line that I'm focused on. This is the line that I'm focused on right now for this video. And you'll see that there is one thing, is that in some cases there is a unit. So this percentage, or there is like 10 to the power of 3, right? So it's an exponent value, and then I don't even know what this unit is. But my struggle was not exactly that unit, but how it came out extracted in Tesseract is this. So it came out extracted as 101043. Somehow the I guess the power, the exponent, that got somehow detected as number 4, which is totally wrong and not helpful at all, right? And then I thought, yeah, this is something that we want to build as an agent. And this is where I think I want to really showcase what is it to be an agent here. These kind of mistakes can happen in these kind of extractions, which is totally fine. And you can get a lot of value if you're using some of this software, which is, first of all, Tesseract is free, open source, available. So very fast also, by the way, it runs very fast. If I can run this command again for you, and you see it runs really fast per page, which is great. But now what do I do with these mistakes? Can I do something automated? See, this time, by the way, it did 10 to the 10 multiplied by 3. No matter what it comes, and you will see some of these data points like, oh, how do I now clean it? This is exactly where if you build this as an agentic flow, it makes it easier. Because what you can do, and this is what I will do, as part of this product that we are building, is that I can take sentence by sentence, and the moment I get ambiguity, how we will get ambiguity, we'll look into it a little later. But the moment I get ambiguity, I can pass it as a single prompt, very simple prompt, to even a cheaper model. Right now, I'm going to show you the example that I have run with Gemini, Gemini 3 Pro. This is the preview model. This is not exactly a cheap model, but I'm sure this result would come out even with a cheaper model, because some of these concepts are so common. Some of these nomenclatures, the units, etc., they are so common that even some cheaper models would know it fairly well. So what I did was I have extracted text from a medical report for blood sample. Each line has test name, result, units, reference. This is already known, right? From a test report, I would already know that these are the basic things. By the way, that also I could figure out from a report, simply because most PDF reports would have this kind of a heading. And I could also pass that, as you can now imagine, I can also pass that to, hey, give me clean set of headings for whatever it says. So there is some residual data here, 5/11/24. I have no clue. I think that's a date coming from the report. I don't need that. And I can ask these models to clean that up and give me just a clean set of headings. Now with that set of headings, I can pass on to a model and I can say, hey, I got this actual value. If you remember, 101043 was the previous value. I ran it again and it came as 10*3. I can run both of them for you. But the eventual goal is that, like, the goal I have in my mind is that, can it figure out that this is supposed to be the value 10 to the power of 3, right? The exponent. And it did. And this is where I'll come to what I just said, is that you have to build a system where you can figure out that there is an error case. Let's say you do this, and by the way, for just to be thorough, you can cross check it with a human in the loop, etc., however way you want to. But then you have to label this data somehow and store it somewhere, so that the next time you encounter something like this, either you talk to a model if needed, or you see, like, yeah, confidently this is platelet count, right? So this name of this particular test was platelet count. The result, the reference interval, some of those fields match. And then the next time you come across this same line, but maybe from a different provider, you can, even without going to a model, you can figure out just from your existing data, just because of heuristics, you can figure that out, that yes, this is this. And the units, even if from PDF to text, it came out as some kind of weird garbage, which is not comprehensible. But you can now, because of your existing reference data, you can figure that out. Running that automatically through an agent and knowing when it should talk to a model, when it should not, is actually the real, I would say, future of good agents. That you should not always just dump all your data. In my case, in the case of nocodo, the way the system is being built, it's always as granular as possible. Talk to the model only when necessary, and build an internal data, like some kind of an internal model, some kind of an internal reference list. Again, the word model is very confusing here. Sorry, I don't mean large language model. I mean like an internal model, internal thesis of your data, internal reference for your data, so that the next time you come across the same data, but it has some error, you can refer to existing set of examples you have built up and say, no, this is platelet count, which means the result actual value I care about is 223. That's the real value I care about. So you can think of it this way, is that building an agentic system does not necessarily mean just grabbing all the data. Like I don't want to grab all of this, okay, and pass it to a model and hope for the best. No, that's not how agentic systems, that's not how good agentic systems are built. That's not how you will get great results. The way you will get great results is if you cut the data down into, the per line item, right? That's the best way to do it. And then ask the model very in context question, right? What is the context of this? This is from a medical report, from a blood sample, That in context short prompt goes a long way, much longer than if you grab this entire data and just passed on and prayed. Don't do that. So do this approach. How you break that data, of course, that will depend on how your system is, etc. In the case of nocodo, this is all part of nocodo. This is how I'm building up the software. But I just wanted to give you an example that you can pull in either an agent, okay, or sorry, rather the agent can either pull in a model or can pull in a human, all being determined by itself. So this prompt, me being right now the manual agent, I can create an agent which will decide this, like, oh, I got an error situation, but my reference, let me check the reference data. Yes, this is, with the reference data. Yes, I'm pretty confident. I'm very confident that this is this, or I'm not confident. Let me ask another model about it. So there you go. That's how I would say a good agent, in this case, a very, context fitting agent would work. And I hope that, that makes a little, that gives you a little more idea about realistic agents, very compact, very goal focused, very goal centric, and how I am building it or how you may also build something like this. Thank you.